Hey, this is Nick from Us versus Herd. Today we're going to be going over the Thinkorswim basics. So I'm going to be going over the desktop app, which is I'm using a Mac, the iPhone app, and also the iPad app. So we got a lot to cover. But for those who are new to Thinkorswim, when you first log in, it's kind of daunting. I know that when I first tried Thinkorswim or some of the other platforms, I mean, there's a lot going on, a lot of numbers, a lot of buttons, a lot of things, a lot of options that you can choose. I mean, so there's good and bad things to that. Like good things regarding that is that you have the flexibility to make a lot of different trades. The bad news is some people that are new to trading, especially new traders, have never used a platform before, not just Thinkorswim, but like E-Trade or some of the other ones. You get a little, it gets confusing. Just kind of figure out things out where things are. So my goal today is to show you all the features, basically just the basic features. I mean, there's a ton more features that we'll cover in different videos for like advanced techniques and different research things that you could do. But right now, I'm just going to show you the basics on how to get going. So right here, on the left here, I have the iPhone app. But here we're gonna get started on the Mac app. And as you can see here, the cool thing is that the same thing is for the iPhone and the iPad. Unlike other platforms, the interesting thing is Thinkorswim allows you to paper trade on a real account on the real platform. So if you just click on this down here, Paper Money, you log into Paper Money, or you can log into live trading. So I'm going to use live trading as an example, but the stuff that we're going to cover today, it's the same platform in Paper Money. It's just that you can execute different trades. The only thing is, I mean, it's not 100% guarantee that you're going to get the same fills on Paper Money and live trading, but we can talk about that later. But for right now, I mean, this is really the only platform that allows you to do paper trading on the actual platform. I don't believe any other platform, such as E-Trade or anything else, lets you paper trade on their platform. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in here, and I've pretty much cleared all my settings, and we will go through just the basics and how kind of also set up different things from scanners to charts to where to buy options, where to buy stock, and just kind of show you the basics here. So I'm just going to log in here. Takes a few seconds for it to start, and the market's been closed for about 45 minutes, so figured it was a good time to knock out this video. So right now, as you can see the numbers over here, this is loading the as they're changing. This is after hours or the extended hours, as some places call it. So okay, the Thinkorswim app is now open. We're logged into the account, and one of the first things you see here, I actually disable this because I don't really like it when it pops up, but you can actually stream CNBC live from here. You could pop this out. You got some news on here. It's kind of cool, but usually I just hit no here when it says, would you like to see this on home screen startup? But for right now, I'm just going to hit X. And I mean, if you want, you could always bring it back up by just hitting the home screen, and that will pop up. So on the screen here, when you first log in, you'll notice your positions here. These are current positions I have now, and I've kind of broke it down a little bit. So these are some of the stocks and options I'm holding currently. Most of the stuff I've cashed out before the long weekend. We got Memorial Day weekend coming up here, so I cashed mostly everything out today. But I'll just go through this real quick here. Right now, connected. This means we're actually connected to the exchange. Everything's real time. You can see we're getting real time data here for stock, options, futures, forex, and I'm not sure what other means. I'm guessing, I don't know, some other data they want to load. Here we have the option buying power. Everything's blacked out because I have privacy mode going on right now. But you could adjust this account to have a lot more options here. The account info, if you like to have more account info, we can go to, if you want to see what your stock buying power is, you can look it up. All you have to do is search. You can add your stock. You got futures here, and then you can move this stuff up and down. So if you want it, if we want this under available funds for trading, we can put that right there. And that'll pop up right there, and you can see how much your stock buying power is if you're interested in buying stock. I normally don't buy stock. I mostly just sell options, so that's not really a thing for me. On the left here, you'll see that you have your watch list. This is one just as, I think this is default. This will have the indexes here. This is the watch list that I currently have right now that, on some of the stuff, and you can have multiple. You can create a new watch list. You could have your watch list just being your current positions. You can create down here. You can have create a new watch list for the top 10 gainers. So these are more like scanners that they have set up by industry. But for right now, I mean, you can just basic watch list. You can create the watch list and you can add stuff to your watch list. We'll show you how to do that later. I've split this up into a group. Let me ungroup this here so you can see what I did here because I had stock. Let me delete the group. Maybe move this back. Oh, looks like it showed up. Sorry, there was a pop-up that showed up on the other screen that was making sure I wanted to do that. So these are the current options I have. This right here is stock that I'm holding. These were I was selling some calls on this, but this is stock that I'm holding. And what you could do is you can, if you want to group this a separate way, so like let's say you didn't want to have these all together in one group. Right now they're on allocated. Let's say they had different expirations. You could actually create different groups. So like let's say I want to do this one, I will move to a group, add a new group. I have two monitors here and it keeps popping up on the other one. So if I want to name this one, this is my actually stock holding. So you can, this is stock. And sometimes what I like to do is different expirations. So this is June 16th. This is June 16th. These are cashed out. This is June 16th, June 21st. So what I like to do is sometimes when I have multiple expirations like this one, like Priceline today was expiring today. Sometimes if you want to have a cleaner look, if you have like a lot of positions on, sometimes it's cleaner if you create a new one, a new group, and label it like June. That way you know how much time you got left, and then you can move stuff to June 16th. So then you can move. I got Chipotle on a couple other trades here. You can group it that way. So that's kind of cool. The other thing is here you can see what was today's orders. Like this is if you had any working orders in place. This is today's filled orders. So I sold some on Priceline. I had a losing trade on Nvidia, tried to short that, and it didn't quite work out, but only lost a little bit on that. That's pretty much the monitoring. I mean, that's pretty much the basics. It'll tell you what you did, what you were up year to date, profit and loss, if you're making money, if you're losing money. I'm going to go through kind of each tab and kind of get you set up before we get into trading. A lot of things that you want to monitor. We'll look at the charting. So you click on the charts tab here. I won't get into all this other one, but I mainly use only the charts tab and the flexible grid. I like to use a flexible grid when I'm monitoring more than one stock. So like for instance, if you want to look at the S&P, just type this in here. And by default, your charts are going to look like this. And I also have this in light mode. There's also a dark mode. I have it in light mode just because it's easier to see on YouTube. But you could, this is a year to date, I believe. Yeah, this is a 1 year, not year to date. This is within the last year, 1 year. It says right here 1 year, and it's a daily chart. I don't really like to use a 3-week. Sometimes I'll kind of customize my list here. So what I will do here is customize my list. I'll remove, like, I don't like this one. I usually only use a 15-minute chart and then the daily. So like what I'll do is I'll get rid of some of these here that I don't like. And then I'll keep the 30-minute. I don't usually use a 1 minute. For option trading, I usually only use 15 minutes if I'm doing daily or the daily chart. So what I want to do is you can just add a time frame here. So I like to use 2 years out, just so you can get a sense. 3 years out, and then I go like 5 years, just so you can get a sense, and then hit apply. The other thing that you could do here is change the appearance. Like a lot of times, like I like these up bars filled in green. So you can click on the appearance, and then you can click on fill up, and that means there, as you can see here on the upticks, it's going to be filled green rather than clear. It's just a little bit nicer look, I think. I don't know why it's not default, but now it's green on the chart here. And that's the other cool option. A lot of other places don't have this, where you could like scroll. So let's say I wanted a certain time period. I can click and drag and highlight, and that will show up in the chart and zoom in on it. So that's a cool little feature. And as you can see here, that the changes I made to the list are now here. So if I want to pull up the 5 year, we'll pull up the 5 year daily here. Now, what page I'm on mostly for charting is the flexible grid. So by default, it has just this, where you could just type in some things. Let's say we want to type in SPX and we want to type in Apple. You know, this is definitely not my favorite kind of layout. Since I have a pretty big monitor, what I will do is kind of edit these screens. So I usually like 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom, but sometimes you can do two and two on top, 2 and 2 on bottom. So what we will do here, I'm sorry, we don't want to go there. We want to go to the gadget. Oh no, that's for this right here. Show grid action. Sorry. Click on this to show the grid actions. Customize grid, and then this pops up. And then you can add a section up or down. So this is down, adding to the downside, adding to the bottom side. This is deleting it. So like, let's say you want to, you don't like this down here, you can delete that one, and it takes that one. Or if I want to add to the right, click on that. If I want to add another one to the right, click on that. You get the idea. We'll just do 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. And then when you're done customizing, this is if you want to add the sidebar. You could just choose not to add the sidebar. That'll remove that, but I'll show you what these sidebars are here in a second. What we're going to do here, after you're done customizing, you just want to hit this, and then it'll go away. You can also save this grid as well if you have favorite different grids. So if you have different grids that you want to make by default, instead of having to reconfigure them all the time, you can say, okay, these are my tech stock grids. If you want to do like Apple, Amazon, you do Facebook, or Netflix, And as you can see, like each chart. So over here, this was customized a certain way with the days, and then with the fill-ins over here. Since each one's individual, you would also actually save this, but you would actually have to go to the options to change the appearance, and then fill on the upside. And then you can also change different ones. If you don't like the candle, you can do the bar chart. Some people like the bar chart. I prefer the candle, but now you can see this one's going to be filled in. L2, that's level 2. Obviously, the market's closed right now, so we don't have a whole lot going on in level 2. And SPX doesn't trade after hours like that. We can actually see on Amazon there should be some level 2. Yep, level 2, some level 2 action here. Go back to the chart. Sorry, the dash. To go to the chart, and then you have to deselect this. So to make things go away, you have to actually deselect it. Now, one of the things that I like to use is different like price alerts on here. Let's go to the bigger chart just so you can see. This works on all the charts. So if you want to be alerted at some point, let's say if SPX goes to 2420, what we could do is right click on it, go down to create an alert, and then you can say I want this to be so if the mark is at or above 2420, this will, you hit create alert. It will also, you can write a note here. It's like, okay, short here, and then it'll alert you. So you can do this on like different stocks and then create alert, and then you can notify where you want it alerted. By default, it goes to everything, so it gets push notification to your mobile device. Little thing comes up here in the left corner saying, hey, this alert went off, and it makes a sound. So it's pretty cool. I like to set alerts, especially like if I don't want to monitor a stock all the time. At what price do I feel like I need to evaluate a position? So if like I'm long SPX and it dips down to a certain level, I will then set an alert for that level where I need to evaluate, do I want to keep this position on, or do I want to exit the position? Or same goes for the top, like when it reaches a certain point, should I take profits, or should I just leave it go? So that's how you create alert. I'm just going to leave this off right now. The other thing that you can do from the chart is you can buy. If you right click on it, you can buy and sell. I definitely don't really like using this method. I'll kind of show you the method that I like to use. I like to use the trade page. So now that after we've gone through, kind of how this sets up, also you can see down here on the chart, Thinkorswim adds this. I don't think E-Trade does this, but you can see like when they had earnings on the long-term chart. So SPX. So let's go to Amazon, because SPX doesn't have earnings. But you can see here, down here, you can see they had earnings on this date, and then they had their phone conference, and it actually tells you if what was the estimation, what was the actual their actual earnings report. So I definitely like that feature a lot. For the charts page, for the basic setup, you don't really need a whole lot. I'm going to skip over now to the trade page. Now, this trade page is pretty much where you're going to conduct all your trades. So I'm going to, let's use Amazon for an example. Right here, you just type in Amazon. And as you can see here, we're under all products. We're not going to trade Forex or futures or anything like that. Mostly anything that you do, if you're trading stock and options, you're just going to use the all products page. Now, all products is pretty much just stocks and options. So if you want to open up stocks and trade stocks, you can open up this trade grid here, and then you can type in Amazon. And then from here, you can just click on the ask or the bid, or if you want to short it, you can short it. You can buy or sell. You can buy a custom. But what we'll do is I could just say, okay, I want to buy this. And then down here, your order entries are asking you, are you sure? Pretty much this is your order entry. You're buying 1 share. By default, I have 1 share, and then you can have whatever, you can change the defaults of what you want. You can skip to 50 if you want. But what we can do here is, pretty much it'll ask you, hey, are you sure you want to do this? And then if you're sure, you hit confirm, and then it asks you one more time. If you are making the purchases, how much it costs with your fees, the cost of trading, including the commissions. This is how much it has, what effect it has to your buying power, and then this is how much resulting buying power it has for options, and how much what your resulting buying power is for stock. If you're happy with the order, you just hit send. I'm obviously not going to be trading this because I don't really want to own a share of Amazon right now. So I'm just going to hit delete. But that's how you buy like a share of Amazon. Now the option chain is down here. It's labeled option chain. For simplicity reasons, I'm going to actually reduce this trade grid. So you don't have to see here. The option chain is kind of pretty much like any other option chain. You can see the date here, how many days to expiration. The ones that are labeled weeklies are weeklies. The ones that are not labeled weeklies, those are monthly options. And then over here, you can see their like the implied volatility for these weeks ahead. So let's just say we'll take next week's. Let's see if that's good. Okay, and obviously, see by default, there's only 4. I usually like to trade when there's like 35 because I'm an option seller. My normal strategy is I sell options rather than buy them. So you definitely need more than 4. So if you have 4, you're really only getting a little bit here. And since Amazon moves quite a few dollars a day, I usually like to have a bigger picture, especially when I'm trading like long term. I want to have further out options, and then. The one thing that I don't like about this by default, you don't get a whole lot of options here. You basically get the last price that was paid, the change, the bid, and the ask. Now, the way that I like to do it is I like to have a few different options here. So you can click on this layout here. You click on layout, you hit customize, We can then, I like to do the probability of in the money, and then I'll explain that in a second. I also like to have implied volatility. Oh, sorry, I don't need the implied volatility. You could add delta if you wanted to have delta. I like to have the volume, and I like to have the open interest. Okay, so this is pretty much what I usually have. I mean, you can use implied volatility, but I usually only trade implied volatility on the stock that's on the underlying, which would be Amazon. I don't usually look at the implied volatility on the individual option. So what we could do here is hit OK. And this is typically the way that I like to set my trade grid up here. So like the volume, I like to see what the volume is for certain options, just so I can see the liquidity. Like, you know, this is pretty liquid. I like to see what the open interest it is, and I like to see what the probability of being in the money is. So as an option seller, you know, you don't want this falling in the money. So if you want like a higher value, you could see, oh, this has a 21% chance of being in the money. Rather, this has a 46% chance of being in the money right here. And I like to see the volume. So like if for like a low volume, if you go to like Ulta, for instance, you could see here, I mean, not as much volume, especially like Priceline. It's probably a better one. He has even less. So like typically I like to make sure it has like at least 300 in volume. I do trade Priceline on the regular, but I don't trade it, you know, as much as other stocks. Amazon has pretty good liquidity. See how this one's here. This is like, you know, for the $1,000, this is 4,500 volume. That's today alone, plus 1,700 open interest. So I mean, this is pretty liquid. So that, like, you know, that allows you to get in and out of the trade. The bid and the ask, I mean, it's a little bit on the wide side, but not, you know, not terrible. And if you have a position on and you hold it for, you know, most of the duration, you will be making money on the trade as an option seller. To make a trade here, all you have to do if you want to do purchase, this is the call side, this is the put side. All you have to do is hit the ask if you want to buy an option. If you want to sell an option, you can hit the bid. But what I like to do a lot of times is the different strategies. So for instance, I like to do a lot of verticals. So let's say I wanted to put a bearish call spread on the, let's see, at the $1,000 mark here. So what I will do is right click on the bid, because I'm going to be short this. So I'm going to go sell, and I'm going to go to vertical. And this will give me the option. So down here will say if I am short the $1,000 call and long the 1,250 call, you know, I'm going to be getting 85 cents in credit. Now, if you want to get this, you know, you can add more or less. By default, I just have one, just in case, you know, you're in a hurry. One time I, you know, accidentally had the wrong defaults on. I bought, you know, way too many of one thing. I mean, it ended up working out, but you just want to make sure you, especially when you're just trading the way that we trade here, is you just don't want to have a high in case, you know, you're in a rush to make the trade, and then you, instead of buying one, you accidentally bought 10, and, you know, that's kind of how you can get in trouble. So I'll show you how to edit these defaults here in a second. But like that, you can go to, this is the vertical, and pretty much the same as I showed you the stock. This is how you trade the options. So it's the same trade grid, order entry, you hit set, and if you're happy with this order, you can hit send. And I'll probably place an order here just so you can see, because the option markets don't trade after hours, so you could put an order in, and then it will, you know, we'll pick up on the next time the market opens for options, just so you can see what it looks like to have an order waiting. I can just send this one now, just so you can see. And then there's a buy and a sell here, because these are active trades. If you go back to monitor, under working orders, you can see that there's a working order here. But for right now, I'm just going to cancel this because I don't really want to put this order on. Definitely don't want to be short Amazon right now as it approaches $1,000. So let's just cancel this. And as you can see, it just says we canceled our order. That's our confirmation. Also, you get confirmations here of in your messages. right here. So let me show you one more thing before we exit the trade grid. So I pretty much showed you everything. The other thing is, what I like to do is it gives you some options. So if you want to put an iron condor on, I feel like when you want to do an iron condor, it's best to do it separately. You can do it here, but they give you options to just, you know, short a single one, like I did a vertical. You could do a strangle or a straddle. You could do a covered. So it kind of has these options rolled out for you. So let's say you want to do an iron condor. It'll fill out both sides. I don't think it necessarily gives you the best. I mean, it just gives you whatever's closest to being in the money here, which may not be what you want to do, but you can easily adjust it by clicking on this and, you know, widening that out. So if we want to go down to 80, 85, you're going to get, you know, a certain amount of credit. So these are the puts down here, and these are the calls, and then you can edit that way if you want to do it that way, or you can do it vice versa. Same thing goes for the put side. If you right click on it, you get the same deal. If you want to buy or sell, if you want to be long or short. So if you're selling, if you're selling, you're going to have a credit. If you're long, you're going to, you know, you're going to have a debit. So depending on what your option strategy is, typically we pretty much only sell options here. Very rare we do a debit spread or purchase options. So let's go to, that's pretty much all you need to know for the trading page. Now let's go to the scanner. The scanner is pretty cool. What I like to search here is for implied volatility. Being an option seller, you want to you know, set up a scanner for stuff that you like. So instead of net change, we're going to change this to stock price. Where are you? Okay, we'll change it to last. Let's say you want the last one to be like, okay, you don't want to trade anything more than $15. You can have a max volume. I like to have volume around 1 million. So volume around 1 million on up. That way you can get some liquidity there. Instead of stock change, we're actually going to actually remove this one. And then we're going to go to add study filter. And we're going to go to volatility. And we're going to go to IV percentile. And I like to do around 50 to 101. So you want to make sure you do 101 instead of like 100. That way you get all of those. And then we can hit scan. Not sure if anything. Okay, I guess it does show up. So these are all the stocks today. You can also do more if it's a busy day in terms of, I mean, IV is at an ultimate low right now because of how high the stock market has been going. But you can go here and then you can actually this as you can see, there's no IV, so you don't know which ones have a high IV. So what you want to do here is click on this little cogwheel here and get implied volatility. Add that here, and actually we want to let's move this up so we can see where it is next to the symbol. There we go. And then we can oh, it's showing 16% here. Let's go to they had the wrong one. Let's see. No, that's right. These might be a little off right now because it's after hours, so some things may not be. So we shouldn't be seeing these down here, but you can see what their percentile is right here, the implied volatility. So for this one, you know, obviously we're going to look for stocks that have a high IV, trade over 1 million shares, and at least $15 a share. So that's kind of how you set up your scanner here. Another thing that I like to use a lot, let's go to, it's under the Analyze tab, is the Earnings tab. Now the Earnings tab is kind of interesting because you could, it kind of breaks down how it performed in the last few earnings. So today I actually traded Alta earnings. They went up about 4 or 5%. So I had a put spread on it earlier today on a different account. But as you can see here, you know, it gapped up. So you can see what it did per quarter, what their performance was, what their EPS was, what the actual, what was the Wall Street, was it above estimates, below estimates, and kind of how they performed here. So it's kind of cool. And this is the red's the implied volatility. So a lot of times, as you can see, actually every time IV goes up before earnings and then it gets crushed. So that's what we're kind of hoping for when we do an earnings trade as an option seller or premium seller, is to have the IV crush. See, IV was up here at 36.4. After today is down to 18.77. So even if the stock didn't move, like in here on Q3 16, even if the stock didn't move, you're going to be making money on the IV crush. So I mean, you'd probably be at least 50% profit on that trade. One thing I forgot to show you was this is the volume. You could put implied volatility on the yearly chart. What you want to do here is click on studies. Sorry, I don't add the study, and we want to go to implied volatility. Okay, here it is. And then it adds implied volatility down here. So this will show you what the implied volatility is going right now. So let's actually zoom in here a little bit better. So let's say this week. Okay, let's go to Alta because I just use that as an example as an earnings trade from yesterday. Okay, so let's go zoom in here. Okay, so as you can see, Alta, they beat earnings. You know, closed around here, 292 yesterday. Today closed at 302.40. Went on as high as 310. But as you can see here, IV was at like 36, and now it's down to 18. So that I like to see that on the daily chart. Let's go to just give you a quick guide on the mobile app. Let's minimize this here. Bring this over here. Okay. So the mobile app's kind of cool. It's pretty much the same thing as the Thinkorswim platform, but from a mobile standpoint. What we can do there is you go to quick quote up here. You can, you know, pretty much type anything that you want in, get a quote. Let's say it's Tesla. You know, the charting. You can also change the charting. So if you tap on the chart itself, you could change the increments. I've already set it up here. Or you could add different styles, and you can do a new style, and then select if you want the daily, the 5-minute, 15-minute chart, the hourly chart. So what I'll do here is, instead of the 1-year day, I can do a, let's see here. Instead of intraday, we'll go to daily, and we'll go to, let's put up a 5-year. There you go. So intraday is only give you intraday. Obviously, daily will give you daily. So tick, that's fine. You could leave the rest of the default, and then you hit OK. You're done. And now I have another. This will scroll over here. And then you can select what these are here. So if you want that, you want the yearly, how it did. Obviously, you could zoom in that, see how it did. You can go back to the 15-minute chart. And now let's say it was a stock. I don't think I have it on my watch list. You can type in Alta. Yeah, if you want to add this to your watch list, all you have to do is hit down here, add a watch list. The news, I don't really use the news tab. It's okay. I use other sources for news. One thing that's kind of interesting, let's say for Tesla, some of these bigger companies like Tesla or Apple, you can click on the company profile, and then it'll show you what their market cap is. It'll also show you where their money comes from and what their if they have a debt balance or they have a credit balance. See these guys there, it says their balance sheet, they have 3.61 in debt. If you go to Apple, as you see, their cash balance is 153 billion, and they get 60% revenue from their iPhone. Other end here, you can go on to the options chain. And it's pretty much the same thing as the other one. Obviously, you can set this all up, but in spread, let's go to custom, go single. So if you click on spread here, you could do a lot of the same thing. And like you said, if you just want to do a single option, a lot of times I do a vertical option. So then it will automatically adjust it. So that's kind of easy. And then you can, if you want to short it, you can, let's go to next week so you can get some. So if we want to short it, say we want to short Tesla, it'll automatically, I just tapped on the, right here, this 327. So I just tapped on this 327 right here, 327.30 and 330. So if I click on that, you can see here that I'm getting a credit of 92 cents. I can scroll down. This pretty much, I can hit confirm. And then this one will show you what your confirmation. So pretty much the same thing as on the other one. The other thing is that you could do on here is if you hit on strikes, you can adjust how many strikes you like. I like to have 25. If you want to change this, so as you can see here, I have the bid, the ask, the last, and I also have, if you scroll over, volume, you can have theta. But if you click on this little wheel here, you can add a whole bunch of stuff. Like you can add the probability of it being in the money. I'll actually add that now. And then you can see here, probability of being in the money. Not sure it will calculate it after hours right now, but that's how you do it. And then up here, there's a little arrow here. It's kind of hidden. If you click on that, it kind of shows you some more information about it. And if you want to edit what's in here, like I also have implied volatility here, so you can look up what the implied volatility is on a stock. If you scroll all the way over, you can see this customize tab. And if you click on that, then you can customize what's on there with pretty much all the same options I showed you on the Thinkorswim application itself. Now, if you want to, you can see your positions. This is a different account that I have. I had Priceline and Alta. This will show you what alerts you have currently, and you can set new alerts just like the other one. And then you can check your balances and all that good stuff. But that's pretty much the basics of doing that. And if you have a position on and you want to sell it, you can tap sell or buy. These are already closed, but let's put a position on Amazon here, and we can do a vertical call spread as well. We'll do the same thing just so you can see. So I'm going to actually hit on this 997.50, 1,000, and this will pretty much show you the same thing. Actually, it's not going to load that one because that's expired. Let's go to the 7 days out for next week. There we go, 92 cents. If I hit confirm up here, send. I like to sometimes enter orders on my phone because it uses the Touch ID is really quick, and then you can see, oh, I'm on orders now. And then you can see your orders here, and you can, if you click on the order itself, you could do similar things. So if you don't get a fill, you could hit cancel and replace, and add or go down here on the limit, and then you can see where it is on the mid price. So if you want to be more on the mid, you can hit that, hit confirm, and then cancel the other order. So you get a notice over here, like, hey, this canceled right here. That order was canceled. We'll actually go back and we'll cancel this order here so we don't have this open for Monday or Tuesday since the market's closed for Memorial Day. Let's hit cancel. Hit yes. So that's pretty. I mean, it's pretty basic, pretty easy to use. I mean, I like to use the iPhone app. The iPad app's a little bit more complex. Let me actually get that up and running here. For a second, let's switch this out. Trust. Does it let me do my iPad? Let's see here. Okay. Here we go. Here's the iPad app. So as you can see, this is pretty much the same thing. However, it's a lot more busy. As you can see, you can see the chat room. You can actually on here, unlike the iPhone app, you can get the CNBC. So if you want to tune in here, just click on that. It's not working, I guess. address here. But this one shows you your positions here, your account value. You can see your buying power, and this has the messages down here. Pretty much the same thing that I just showed you on the other application. You can check your orders down here. One thing that I do like about better on here is if you click on the trade tab. Let's go. I like how this is laid out. So I like the bigger chart, and you can zoom in and do some more stuff. But this is pretty much the same options as on the iPhone app. It's just, you know, bigger. If you're into charting, you want to do more stuff on the chart. This is definitely a much better way to go about it. But yeah, as you can see, the options here are pretty much the same as that we just covered in the iPhone app. But the charting is a little bit better. So this is pretty much a preview of the basics of doing this. I mean, obviously, this is the same thing as if you go into options and trading. Up here, you can see up in the upper right here, buying and sell. So this is a nice, cleaner way of actually buying stock here. On the iPad X, today I have more room. So this is the order editor, and then this is actually buying stock. So they have a nicer way of displaying that. And then you have pretty much the same thing here. If you want to put an order in, you know, it looks the same. This has a little bit different. Instead of a chart risk analysis, you have a table here. It can show you what this one shows you what your max profit and what your max loss is. So that's helpful. But I mean, I don't really trade too much on the iPad. This is mainly just for on the go. And when I'm on the go, I mainly just use the iPhone app, and then I use also the desktop platform. So these are the basics. If you have any questions on stuff that I missed or anything specific that you have questions about, leave a comment below. If this is helpful to you, like the video, subscribe, and there's going to be another video out that's going to be talking about some more advanced features.